Welcome to the garden. Today I've got a flower garden update for you, starting off with a few in the vegetable garden. This is actually my biggest sunflower this year, and it's not massive. It's really actually quite small, but it's about 4 feet tall, which is really cool. It just bloomed this morning, so this is the first day we've actually seen it blossom. And there are more flowers on the way too. If we follow the stem down, you can see little buds. There's one there, one over here, and one right down here. So we should have maybe 3 or 4 flowers on this next week. So that's really exciting. This is actually in a container with a pepper. So there's a jalapeno down here too. And it's producing fruit. Now we'd probably get a little bit better harvests without that sunflower, but I really like that. I've also kept these little tomatoes just for now. I'll probably weed those out, but you never know. It's good to have some backups for late in the season. It's fun to just let stuff grow sometimes. But this is just one of only a few sunflowers we actually got to sprout. Then over here we have our experimental container where most of this is just dried leaves. There's only about 1 inch of soil on top. And you can see there's quite a few flowers. We'll start way up here with this brand new blossom. This is one of our cosmos. I call them pink cosmos, but they're also called garden cosmos. They're just incredible. And I'm not sure why they get that name cosmos, but the center of the flower has these little stars and squares. Just incredible shapes that look like the starry sky. That could be why they get that name cosmos, but they are just stunning. This one's actually quite tall. In fact, it's about the same height as our sunflower. It's about 4 feet tall. So that's awesome. Then if we follow this down, we can see some red flax. Then there's a cornflower. Sometimes these are white, sometimes they're pink. Rarely they're purple, and the most common are the blue. These little pink ones I think are the Sweet William Catchfly, and then these blue ones back here are Forget-Me-Not. And these are also growing in a few other spots around the garden, but I really like to see them in this mix. The soil has sunk down even further, but I'm just keeping up on the watering, and we're still getting new blossoms. I mean, look at all these red flax and these thick seed. This turned out to be a really cool experiment, and something that you can replicate in your own garden. Just save up those dried autumn leaves and use them to fill in your containers. So now let's head out into the flower garden. So over here is something surprising. This is new just this morning. It's a daylily. This is one of the plants that we recently transplanted, so I'm actually kind of surprised to see it bloom. These can actually bloom all summer, but it's been fairly dry, except for a few rains last week, so. You can see one more flower right down here, but they're pretty few and far between. We are, however, getting loads of these cone flowers. Just look at this sea of colors. It's absolutely stunning. I want more of these brown-eyed Susans too. These are also called Rudbeckia and orange coneflower. These might actually be a little bit thirsty. And then behind those are all the purple coneflower, or echinacea. They are just everywhere. Look at them. They are so full and thick this year. It's incredible. I did a lot of transplanting last year, and it really worked out well. Ooh, look at that, a little goldfinch. They're already after the seeds. That's cool. So usually they wait until they're dry, but apparently that one's eating them fresh. All these cones that give the coneflower their name are just packed with seeds. It's actually really interesting to see the different insects pick their favorite flowers. For instance, these orange coneflower attract smaller insects, including this incredible humpback moth. I'm actually not sure if it's a butterfly or a moth or a fly, but they have this incredible camelback, and they don't seem to like the echinacea, they just like the rudbeckia. But the bees love the echinacea. They're just absolutely everywhere. But there are two monarchs. The one that you just saw flying around, that's actually a normal size. They're about the size of a deck of cards, but there's one back here that's actually a little bit small. Never seen one that small. Could even be like a new hatch, fresh out of the cocoon, which would be really cool. There they both are. Oh, they're so beautiful. So there's the little one. It really is small. It's kind of surprising. I've never seen one that small. All sorts of beetles like them too, and even hummingbirds. I'll see hummingbirds poke through here periodically. But our annuals are so sparse this year. There's one Sweet William right down here. There was a cosmos just over here somewhere. I do have some fleabane, which are those little white wildflowers. And those are actually really nice amongst the echinacea. I think that's a nice touch. There was also a daisy in here, and a few daisies out front that have since died back. The daisies are actually really struggling this year. It might be because they've been shaded out by the daylilies. And then if we swing around here, you can see some of our blackberry lilies. These actually get their name from the seeds that are black and shiny. But these flowers are really some of my favorites. They are just so spectacular. They're kind of small compared to the other ones, but they're so colorful. And those red speckles on the flowers are just gorgeous. Another cool thing about these is when the flowers are done, they turn into these little spirals. They somehow just twist like taffy. It's really cool. And then you can see the pod right down here. So those swell to a pretty decent size. You can see how quickly they grow. But the new flowers look like this. And these petals on the outside are actually sepals. You can tell the difference if you know what to look for. The sepals are a little bit shorter, where the true petals are a little bit longer. Their coloration is a little bit different too, so that's something fun to watch for. We actually still have some of those orange flowers that were the first ones to show up in spring. Besides our daffodils and crocus, of course. I can't remember the name of these, but I'll post it on screen right up here. But these are really cool, and I'll definitely save the seeds. The colors are just extraordinary. And they're actually fading a little bit. Echinaceas start off incredibly dark purple, and then they kind of fade to light purple. Here you can really see some of those color variations. On the left you get that dark purple, and then in the center there's some really pale ones, and on the right they're kind of starting to fade. And then the really old ones will turn brown, and then eventually fall off. So I'm starting to see the first signs of autumn, which is kind of a bummer. But I am excited for those cooler temperatures. It's incredibly hot right now. We got more orange coneflowers up here, also known as brown-eyed Susan or black-eyed Susan. They're actually the same plant, and there are many different varieties. There are perennial varieties and annual varieties. These ones are perennials, and they're actually surprisingly similar to these echinacea. Not only are they similar shapes, but look at the leaves. They're very pointed, lanceolate shaped, just slightly fuzzy, but pretty tough leaves. And then if we look at the echinacea, they're almost identical. So they're actually really difficult to tell apart until you get those flowers. But the orange coneflower bloom just a little bit later, so they're about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month after the echinacea start to flower. But if I reach the camera way over my head, you can kind of see that there's patches of them all over the place. So that was all work that I did last year. If you want to see that video, I called it, I think, painting with flowers. Just spreading the colors around like paint on a canvas. Now here we have a few of those spider plants. Spider flowers. These are gorgeous. They're beautiful late blooming flowers, and then they produce these seed pods that kind of explode and self-sow. So these are definitely going to come back next year. Now I'm leaving some of these, which some people might call weeds, but I'm expecting some of these to be asters. Which are another really late blooming flower that provides some much needed color late in the season. So I think that's what this roughly green one is here. So we'll keep an eye on those. But down here you can see some more forget-me-nots. So some of these annuals did actually make it, which is really nice. It's just nothing like last year. Last year was a lot better for some reason. And then over here we have our milkweed. This turned out to be swamp milkweed. And I'm really happy about that. It has dark splotches of pink. Oh my gosh. And look at that. That's a monarch caterpillar. Right in the flower garden. Wow. That's incredible. I love it. We've got so many pods. I'm going to let most of them self-sow, just helping them out by kind of spreading them around. But I want most of them here at the back, because you can see they're very tall. Because of that height, I want them at the back so they don't shade out the other flowers. But there's another really nice patch of our brown-eyed Susans there. And I want to try and spread them out a little bit this year. I'm not going to really do quite as much as last year, because I think they're actually pretty fairly spaced out. I just want to fill in maybe a little patch here, and then maybe a little patch in here too. So we've got a little bit of work to do this year, but I'm really starting to just let these perennials take over. But I hope you all are out enjoying this beautiful summer day. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.